Hello, I'm Rosalind Pryor again, and this is part 2 of the video on homework tips for parents of students with attention deficit disorder or ADHD. And again, we're talking about tips and strategies and help for children who need help from their parents to get their homework done, their schoolwork done, to just get along in life if you have attention deficit disorder. So we're going to continue with help during homework time. Of course, the amount and direct assistance that's required during homework will depend upon the age of and the needs of your particular child. So all children need different amounts of help depending on their age. If they're small, preschool age, they may need help with, more organization, more smaller tasks, getting smaller tasks done. Whereas they get older, they may need help in learning accommodations to learn to help themselves. So just know that the help that you give will change as your child matures. So be available to answer any questions that your child may have and provide support and help your child be able to stay on task. You also want to assist your child in getting started or getting initiated on assignments. Reading the directions together is a great way. Coloring, highlighting the keywords in the directions. A lot of kids miss if it's supposed to underline something versus circling something versus Xing something out. So you may want to highlight those things so they'll be aware. Reading the directions together, doing the first few items together, observing your child as they're doing the homework is a great way to see what their problem-solving skills are and how they tackle their assignments. Also, you want to monitor and give feedback without doing all of the work together, though. You want your child to attempt as much of the work themselves as possible. Even with younger children, try to get them, the child started, and then check on them and then give them feedback in small segments during their independent work. After every few problems or so, go and look, see how they're doing, and then go back and do whatever it is that you were doing. Being available to help and assist as needed is wonderful. However, try not to get in the habit of having your child depend on you or relying on you for overseeing every minute of their homework time. Because you do want them to eventually get independent in doing these things themselves. As tempting as it may be, even when homework time is dragging on and on and on, do not do the homework for your child. I'm going to say that again. Do not do the homework for your child. Do not do the science project. Do not do the report. Do not do the paper. Do not do the poster project. Allow your child to do it for themselves. Believe it or not, teachers and educators know your child better than you think they do. And they know when a parent has done the work and when your child has done the work. No matter if you want your child's work to look great and you want it to look, fabulous, let your child do most of the work themselves. As the homework supervisor, and you're the homework supervisor, and you're the coach, praise your child for being on task, for getting to work and taking responsibility. Give extra praise for accomplishments and their progress, for doing it independently by themselves. Positively reinforce with rewards, incentives, other motivation techniques. As we're going to talk about later, is motivation techniques that you can use to motivate your child to get their homework done. I don't like paying a child to do homework, and I like them having innate responsibilities to do their homework, but sometimes you may want to provide incentives. So let's talk about increasing motivation and work production. So use a kitchen timer. These days you can use a kitchen timer, you can use your watch, you can use many things to challenge your child to stay on task and reward your child for completed work and with accuracy in work during the time frame. Tell your child that you will come back and check on his progress in a given amount of time. And if he does, then that may be reason for incentive. A beat the clock system may also work with your child. It's also a good and effective motivating technique for children to complete tasks before the timer goes off or before you get finished doing something. So that may be something that you may want to initiate. Ask to see what your child has accomplished after a certain amount of time, or to show you when a particular assignment is done, and praise and reward the child and love on him when that homework or when that task is done. One motivating tool for a beat the clock technique or for self-motivating or self-monitoring and time awareness is the visual timer software called Time Timer. And you can look that up. You can Google that, Time Timer. Help your child in setting up mini goals of work completion. Read X number of pages. Finish writing one paragraph. Complete a row of problems. When accomplishing a goal or a task, your child is rewarded with a break, playing on their PS4, I believe it's now, PS5 may be coming out, I'm not sure. Giving them tokens, rewards, reinforcers, or having a token economy system. You also want to remind your child to do homework and offer incentives. When you finish your homework, you can watch your favorite TV program or play your favorite game. Allow your child a break between homework assignments, like if they have math and reading and history. Allow them a little break, because kids with ADHD get a lot of mental fog and mental fatigue. And so they need those little breaks in between doing certain subjects in order to get that mental energy back up. So in fact, your child can reward him or herself with a snack or play an exercise break after completing each assignment or two, okay? So a contract for a larger incentive reinforcer may be worked out as part of a plan to motivate your child to persist or follow through with homework. If you have no missing or late homework assignments this week, you will earn blah blah blah, and you can look up examples of things that you can reward your child with. Praise and compliment your child when he or she puts forth good effort. A lot of kids with ADHD sometimes don't have that mental energy to put forth that good effort, and some of them are wrongly accused of being lazy. And they're not really lazy, they just lack that mental energy. So when they give you that good mental energy and put in that good effort, praise them for it. Avoid nagging and threatening. Instead, use incentives to support and motivate your child through the difficult task of doing that homework, because it is difficult. It may be very difficult for them. Enforce consequences such as loss of points. Now, if they are missing their assignments and you have consequences in place, make sure you enforce those consequences. Don't say, "Oh, next time if you don't do it, next time we're going to really enforce those consequences." You need to enforce those consequences every time. On a token economy system or a behavior modification system, you need to really enforce the consequences. If your child fails to bring home the needed assignments and materials to do the homework, enforce it. Withhold the privileges, no TV, no PS4 until a reasonable amount of time of homework has been accomplished. It's just that simple. Other ways that a parent can help is it is not your responsibility to correct all your child's errors on homework or make him or her complete and turn in a perfect paper. There are very few perfect papers. Your child does not have to turn in a perfect paper, and he does not have to redo and redo and redo in order to get a perfect paper. Turn in the assignment so the teacher can see what your child is indeed having problems with. If the homework is too confusing or difficult for your child to do, or for you to understand from the directions that's expected, ask the teacher, email the teacher, call the teacher. Find out what it is that if you don't understand it, maybe your child probably doesn't understand what they're supposed to do either. If homework is a frequent cause of battles, tears, frustrations in your home, seek help from the teacher, the counselor, the principal, whoever it is that may be assisting at school. Make an appointment to discuss the homework and the problems, and request reasonable modifications. And I'm going to say that again. Request reasonable modifications and adjustments in the homework for your child. Now, it doesn't take, if your child has 30 pages of, or 3 pages of homework problems to demonstrate their mastery of a certain skill, it doesn't take 3 pages to demonstrate that mastery of that skill. So you may want to talk to the teacher about limiting the number of pages for your child to demonstrate mastery of that skill. You don't want just busy work. You want work to demonstrate mastery of a skill. Have your child work on for a certain amount of time, and then stop working on homework. Do not force your child to spend an excessive amount and inappropriate time on homework. If you feel your child has worked long enough for one night, in this midnight, write a note to that teacher and attach it to the homework and said, Charlie worked until midnight on this homework. We as his parents thought he had worked long enough. Please call me and we can discuss. Allow your child to dictate to you while you do the writing and recording of some of the responses for him or her. These accommodations help bypass those writing difficulties that some kids with ADHD have. And they're reasonable for children with ADHD. And you can speak to the teacher. A lot of kids also keyboard. If you don't have to handwrite something and they can type better, have them type it. Ask the teacher about typing out the work instead of handwriting it out. As long as it's not handwriting that's being graded, you can, the substance of whatever it is what matters, not the diligent writing of the work. Communicate with the teacher and try to come to a reasonable agreement about daily homework expectations. Remind the teacher that children with ADHD often take 2 or 3 times longer to get output, meaning get their work done, than their peers. And some of the homework demands might exceed the child's capacity without enormous stress. You may be causing your child stress when it doesn't need to be stress. Let the teacher know your child's frustration and tolerance. How long it takes your child to finish homework in the evening. The teacher needs to be aware of the amount of time it takes your child to complete tasks and what efforts your child is making to complete those tasks. Many students with ADHD need homework accommodations written into their 504 plan if they have one, or their IEP. If your child's teacher is not willing to make reasonable accommodations, go to the administrator or the principal of the school. Encourage and help your child get in the habit of putting all books, notebooks, and signed notes and other necessary materials inside their backpack before bedtime. Not the morning of, before bedtime. Place the backpack in a consistent location every day, such as at the front door, so that your child cannot miss seeing or tripping over or leaving your house without that backpack. It is a common thing thing with kids with ADHD. It is common for students with ADHD to fail to turn in their finished work. I think we talked about this in the last video. Naturally, it's very frustrating to know that your child completed their homework, struggled to complete their homework, and then forgot to turn it in for credit the next day. That is frustrating for you, frustrating for the teacher. You may want to arrange with the teacher a system for collecting the work immediately upon arrival at school. I did that with my children. I made arrangements and I made accommodations for them to turn that work in immediately. But remember, I also had copies of that homework. Today, you can scan it on your phone. You can take a picture of it. Don't let your child leave home with the only copy of the completed homework that they did. Make sure a copy is made. Again, I'm going to say that. Make sure a copy is made. If your child struggles with reading, help by reading the material together or reading it to him or her. They have audiobooks now. Your child, the idea is to understand the book and what's in the book and not the actual basic reading skill, let your child listen and read along with the book at the same time. You can get the audiobook, you can get the printed book, and that will enforce their understanding and comprehension. Help your child with reading and comprehending content area textbooks by photocopying the chapter of the book your child is studying. If it's much easier to write notes directly on the pages or underline or color highlight key vocabulary, main ideas, and so forth, do that. If you can afford it, get a copy of the novel, another copy of the novel that they're reading. If you didn't buy the novel, if you can afford it, get a copy of whatever it is that they're reading, so you can write on it, do whatever your child can write on it, do whatever you want to on that piece of paper. They can make notes, they can underline, they can use their little tabs, they can do all of that while they are reading. Ask for progress notes or use a daily or weekly report card that keeps you apprised of how your child is doing in class. This is something that can be stapled inside of a folder. It can be a running email that you and the teacher have between each other. It doesn't have to be formal, or it can be formal. It depends on the school. Communicate your expectations that homework is a priority for your child. In today's busy society, families are overextended with the number of extracurricular activities in which they are involved. And this video is being made during the time of COVID. And I can tell you that right now, we're not having as many of those extracurricular activities, and kids are having somewhat more time to complete homework. So sometimes those extracurricular activities can really get in the way of getting their homework. So if there is very little time in the late afternoons or evenings to devote to schoolwork, perhaps you need to re-examine and re-evaluate your commitments on activities. Something has to give. Something has to give. I make my kids choose activities. You can have 3 things that you can do that's extracurricular activities per year. 3 things. It can be soccer, it can be dance, it can be football, it can be baseball, but there's only going to be 3 extracurricular activities, because that's it. That's all we have time to do and allow you to get all of your homework done. Many parents find it very difficult to help their own children with schoolwork. Of course, we are the enemy. At a certain age, kids look at us as we are the enemy. If that is the case, find someone else who can be your child's homework coach. Consider hiring a tutor if you're able to do it. Often a junior or a senior in high school can be ideal as a tutor, and they may get extra credit for for doing something extra at school if they need to get those volunteer hours. Depending on the need and age of your child, that may be the perfect solution to that problem. There are even services online that can provide homework assistance, support, and tutoring for a fee if you can afford that. Again, if using such services, you will of course want to check references. So you definitely, and if you're using a tutoring place like these tutoring centers, you also want to check references with them as well. Check out the wonderful resources for homework help that's available on the internet. There are tons of websites that are available on the internet that can help your child with their homework. So make sure you're availing yourself of all the resources that are available to you for free before you start spending your money. Google can be your best friend. Encourage your child and emphasize effort as the most important criteria when doing his or her homework. Again, effort is the most important criteria. I always judged my kids according to the effort that they were putting in. Not that they were getting it right, getting it wrong, not doing it at all. If they put in the effort, and I knew they put in the effort, but they just couldn't get it, or they weren't able to master that, I did not hold them accountable for that. Of course, they had to learn it, but maybe I had to go through a little bit more, or give them a little bit more accommodations, a little bit more push, a little bit more help, a little bit more assistance, a little bit more talks with the teacher, a little bit more accommodations and modifications at school. Whatever the case may be, judge your kid on their effort, and make sure that you as a parent are your child's advocate for getting the homework done and getting the accommodations and modifications that your child deserves. If you like this video, please subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Again, next week I'll come out with another video, maybe before next week, regarding some more topics on how to help your child with attention deficit hyperactivity disorder and or language and learning disabilities. Thank you and have a great day.